Imagine committing a crime so horrifying that the law decided death was not enough, not imprisonment, not crucifixion, not even a public execution. Instead, ancient Rome would sew you inside a leather sack alongside live animals, a dog, a rooster, a monkey, and a snake. The sack would be sealed shut and thrown into a river, leaving you trapped in darkness as the water swallowed everything inside. It sounds like mythology, but it wasn't. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why Rome believed this was the only punishment severe enough for one particular crime, and why every animal inside that sack had a purpose. To understand this punishment, you first have to understand what the Roman family meant. Modern law treats murder as a crime against an individual. Rome saw something much larger. The Roman family was the foundation of society, led by the paterfamilias, whose authority over the household was nearly absolute. He controlled the family's property, represented it before the law, and embodied its honor. Historian Richard Saller argues that the Roman household functioned as the smallest unit of the Roman state. Loyalty to the father reflected loyalty to Rome itself. Destroying that structure was not simply killing a man, it was attacking the foundation of Roman civilization. That is why the Romans separated ordinary homicide from a far worse crime, parricide. Today, the word usually means killing one's parents. In Roman law, it eventually included several close family relationships, but the principle remained unchanged. There was no crime more unnatural. Cicero described parricide as an offense against nature itself. The murderer had broken the oldest and most sacred human bond. For such a person, ordinary execution was considered insufficient. Rome created a punishment unlike any other. It became known as the poena culae, the punishment of the sack. Legal historian Bruce Freer notes that while the exact ritual evolved across the centuries, its central idea remained remarkably consistent. The condemned was sewn inside a leather sack. Then came the animals. At first, they seem completely random. But to the Romans, each carried symbolic meaning. The dog represented loyalty and protection of the household, the very virtues the criminal had betrayed. The rooster symbolized vigilance and order, reminders of the disciplined life the offender had rejected. The monkey, viewed by Romans as an imperfect imitation of a human being, suggested that the condemned no longer deserved full human dignity. Finally came the snake, long associated with death, divine judgment, and the mysterious forces of nature. Together, the animals created a symbolic portrait of the crime itself. Classicist Amy Richlin argues that Roman punishments communicated moral messages as much as physical suffering. The poena culae was designed to make the crime unforgettable. But perhaps the most important part was not the sack. It was the water. After being sealed inside, the condemned was carried beyond the city and thrown into a river or the sea. Drowning was only part of the punishment. The real punishment was what came afterward. The body received no proper burial. Anthropologist Mary Douglas argued that ancient societies cared deeply about maintaining boundaries between purity and pollution, life and death, human and animal. The sack destroyed every one of those boundaries. The condemned was neither buried nor cremated, neither fully human nor fully beast. His body disappeared beneath the water, cut off forever from family, ancestors, and society. For Romans, burial was more than disposing of a body. It was belonging. To deny burial was to erase someone's place in both the family and history itself. Here is what most people never realize. The poena culae was extraordinarily rare. Historian Jill Harries notes that Rome reserved its most elaborate punishments for crimes whose symbolic importance far exceeded their frequency. Very few Romans would ever witness this execution, but everyone knew it existed. Its rarity made it even more powerful. Over time, emperors adjusted details of the ritual, sometimes changing the combination of animals or modifying how the punishment was carried out. But the message never changed. If you destroyed the family, you destroyed the order that held Rome together, and Rome would remove you from that order completely. Now ask yourself what this reveals about punishment itself. Modern legal systems generally justify punishment through deterrence, rehabilitation, or public safety. Rome pursued something different. Its harshest punishments expressed the values on which society rested. The Poena Cullae declared that some crimes could not be answered by ordinary death. The punishment had to mirror the offense. A person who rejected humanity would lose humanity. A person who destroyed the family would be denied a family's burial. A person who violated nature would be condemned through nature itself. You probably live inside a legal system that would consider such a punishment barbaric, but every legal system reveals its deepest values through the crimes it punishes most severely. Rome feared the destruction of the family more than almost anything else. So, when someone committed the ultimate betrayal, the law did not simply execute them. It sealed them inside a sack with creatures that reflected everything they had become and let the river carry away what Rome no longer considered fully human.